Hare Krishna everyone, thank you for joining. Let's do Radha Madhav. Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunj Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunj Bihari Jai Gopijana Vallabha Jayo Giravardhari Shodanandan Rajjana Ranjana Shodanandan Rajjana Ranjana Yamuna Tiruvanachari Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutre Swayam Rupa Kadameyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Nitantam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Krishna Setam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kant Radha Kant Namastute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutadevi Pranami Haripriya Vanchakalpaturvehescha Kirpa Sindhuvevacha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo 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 Vishnupadaya Krishna Pasthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasti Go Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Mukham Kroti Vachanam Pangum Langyate Garim Yat Kirpatam Vandeshi Gurun Din Taranam Paramananda Madhavam Shitanesharam Hari Om Tassat Narayan Namaskritya Naram Cheva Naruttamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jemaduriyat Nasta Parishabdrish Nityamavsya Bhavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nestiki. Okay, Hare Krishna everyone, and chapter 18 we're doing, and last time we were saying that low birth, if it's seen as a disqualification because of the negativity in the negative qualities, negative energy, it can be neutralized by attentive chanting. So, devotional service, especially chanting, takes care of everything. And we also says that the Lord is self-sufficient and is full of potencies. An example was given like the Lord Brahma coming out from his lotus. He didn't need Lakshmi to produce Lord Brahma. He could do it by himself. So he's self-sufficient in every way. He is happy in every way. He's Atma Ram, self-satisfied, self-sufficient. And we also agreed that we always keep Krishna in the center of our lives, that that is really helpful in every way. It's like when you have a class, whether it's in temple or anywhere else, and then you say, any questions? And the questions that people ask, or they should ask, should be based on the class that you heard. That Prabhuji, I didn't understand this, so can you tell me a bit more about this? Something like that, on those lines. But instead, they ask questions on adibhotik problems, right? Every time, it's like somebody has had a recent issue, or something that they've been thinking about. They want to know, they had a problem with some person, or how to tolerate people, like that. And the topic is quite long, and the conversation goes on, can go on for, and whether they agree with the solution or not, that's another thing. But people will also, they just want to talk about, I've got this problem with someone, how do I solve it? And they may have heard the answer so many times. They may have read the answer so many times, but you think somebody can find us an easier solution or what to do. But easier solution is this, that you put Krishna in the center, and when you even thinking about problems or some, whether it's adibhotik, adidevik, adiatmik, put Krishna in the center, then it takes care of itself. Your mind does calm down. Happens to all of us. Just not unique to any particular person who's asking the question. We all have this, but we only have it because we forget for a minute that Krishna is the controller of everything. He decides. He is the maintainer. He is the sustainer. So when you remember that, then you think, yeah, it's fine. It's Krishna's choice. It's his decision. He wants to tell me something. Wants me to teach me something. He wants to purify me. So like that, and then things calm down, and we just leave it all to Krishna. So Krishna, it's up to you. What you want from me. So let's continue. Verse 23. Hare Krishna. So 23. Aham hi prasto aryamano bhavadabhir achaksha atamagno yavan nabha patanti atam samam patatrinas tatha samam vishnu gatim vipshitaha vipachitaha. Aham, my humble self, he certainly prastha, asked by you, aryamanaha, as powerful as sun, bhavadabihi, by you, achakshe, may describe, atam avagamaha, as far as my knowledge is concerned, atra herein, yavan sofa, nabha, sky, patanti, fly, atam samam, as far as it can, patatrinha, the birds, tatha, thus, samam, similarly, Vishnu gatim, knowledge of Vishnu, vipashitaha, even thou learned. O Rishi, who are as powerfully pure as the sun, I shall try to describe to you the transcendental pastimes of Vishnu as far as my knowledge is concerned. As the birds fly in the sky, as far as their capacity allows, so do the learned devotees describe the Lord as far as their realization allows, or as far as the Lord allows to describe. The Supreme Absolute Truth is unlimited, otherwise we cannot describe him completely, we cannot understand him completely. No living can know about the unlimited by his limited capacity. The Lord is impersonal, personal, and localized. Is all three. It's Veda Abheda Tattva. So it can be any of these things. By his impersonal feature, he is all pervading Brahman. By his localized feature, he is present in everyone's heart, super soul. And by his ultimate personal feature, he is the object of transcendental loving service. By his fortunate associates, the pure devotees. The pastimes of the Lord in different features can only be estimated partly by the great learned devotees. So Srila Sutta Goswami has rightly taken this position in describing the pastime of the Lord as far as he has realized. What has he realized? Has he realized Brahman? Has he realized Paramatma? Has he realized Bhagavan? And then by how much? Factually, only the Lord himself can describe himself. And his learned devotees also can describe him as far as the Lord gives him the power of description. And also this is why there's so many contradiction in Bhagavad-Gita's verses, because there's different features of God. Which feature are we referring to? What is it? Because like Krishna says, I'm in you, I'm not in you. I'm in you, yes, as my energy or my expansion of Paramatma, but I'm not in you as Bhagwan. That's what he's saying. And we think, well, are you in us or are you not in us? So these are different. He Bhagwan, and then he has his energies as Brahman and Paramatma. So depends on which aspect of the three aspects we're talking about or referring to. So 23. This is a wonderful example of depends on Krishna. We know about Krishna as much as Krishna feels we need to know. That's the other thing. He will give us the power as much as he thinks that we need to know about him. So like sometimes we say, we have mentality. I mean, I'm a little bit like that I just go by need to know basis. I don't particularly carry big knowledge on everything that's going on around me, whether it's news or DIY or anything. I just need to know basis. When I need to know it, then I'll spend time and learn it. And Krishna seems to think like that as well. Need to know. He'll tell you as much as he thinks that you need to know, and then you know it. Okay, next one. So 24 and 25 together. Ekdadanurud yamya vichuran mirgyam vane mrigyan anugatha shrantha shuditas drishto brisham Jalashayam achikshanha parvivishtam ashramam dadarsh muni asina shantam milit lochanam. So ekda, once upon a time, Tanu, arrows and bow, Udyamya, taking firmly, Vicharan, following, Mirgayam, hunting excursion, Vanne, or one, in the forest, Mrigan, stag, Anugataha, while following, Shranataha, fatigued, Shuditaha, hungry, Tristha, being thirsty, Brisham, extremely, Jalasham, reservoir water, Achakshana, while searching for, Parvivesh, entered into them, that famous ashramam, hermitage of Shamik Rishi, Tadarso, Munim, the sage, Asinam, seated, Shantam, all silent, Milit, closed, Lochanam, eyes. So this is where, the process of getting cursed begins. So once upon a time, Maharaj Parikshit, while engaged in hunting in the forest with bow and arrows, became extremely fatigued, hungry and thirsty while following the stags. While searching for reservoir water, he entered the hermitage of the well-known Shamik Rishi and saw the sage sitting silently with closed eyes. So the Supreme Lord is so kind to his pure devotees that in proper time he calls such devotees up to him and thus creates an auspicious circumstance for the devotee. Maharaj Parikshit was a pure devotee of the Lord, and there was no reason for him to become extremely fatigued, hungry and thirsty, because a devotee of the Lord never becomes perturbed by such bodily demands. But by the desire of the Lord, even such a devotee can become apparently fatigued and thirsty just to create a situation favorable for his renunciation of the world activities. So everything controlled by the Lord, that's what we're saying. So one has to give up all attachment for worldly relations before one is able to go back to Godhead. And thus, when a devotee is too much absorbed in worldly affairs, the Lord creates a situation to cause indifference. The Supreme Lord never forgets his pure devotee even though he may be engaged in so-called worldly affairs. Sometimes he creates an awkward situation and the devotee becomes obliged to renounce all worldly affairs. The devotee can understand by the signal of the Lord, but others take it to be unfavorable and frustrating. So once something unfavorable or frustrating happens, we say, why? But the devotee sees that's some kind of signal to me that some change is coming, so I need to be aware, or I need to make some change. That's the difference between a devotee and a non-devotee. So it's not that the problems suddenly go away. This is dukhalam. Problem don't go away, but our point of view changes. So we don't feel the problem. Maharaj Parikshit was to become the medium for the revelation of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam by Lord Sri Krishna, as his grandfather Arjun was the medium for the Bhagavad-Gita. Had Arjun not been taken up with an illusion of family affection by the will of the Lord, because otherwise Arjun knew everything, the Bhagavad-Gita would not have been spoken by the Lord himself for the good of all concerned. Similarly, had Maharaj Parikshit not been fatigued, hungry and thirsty at this time, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam would not have been spoken by Srila Sukadeva Goswami, the prime authority of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So this is a prelude to the circumstances under which Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam was spoken for the benefit of all concerned. The prelude therefore begins with the words, once upon a time. And you can see, Arjun, is so intelligent and knowledgeable. He comes under illusion. So who are we? We very easily get into illusion. That's one of our 4 defects, right? And then Maharaj Parikshit, when we discussed his birth and discussed his qualities, he was compared to, the best of the warriors. So if you're best of warriors, then you should have control over your fatigue, your hunger and your thirst, right? Even we can do that sometimes. We can have some control, like when we're fasting, especially when it's Janmashtami or Nirjala Kadashi. We try and control these things. So why? And Maharaj, he's a Kshatriya. He should have control over all these things. But at that time, he wasn't able to control them. That's Lord Providence arrangement. So Srila Prabhupada is making the point that normally Maharaj would have tolerated such inconvenience. That's what I'm saying. That he's a Kshatriya. Normally he would have tolerated all this. Pure devotees can do that. So, and he's also a devotee as well. Another evidence is that later on Maharaj Parikshit sat down for 7 days without water and food. So here's the evidence. He's a great warrior. He's the best of the best. Hunger, thirst doesn't affect him. He can sit there for whole week without eating and drinking. What I was saying, like 1 day or half a day. Krishna's plans unfold later on. Similarly, if Arjuna had not become illusioned, we would not have Bhagavad-Gita. So like that. So it's Krishna's. We have to see Krishna's hand everywhere. That's the point. Our perspective, our focus should change. Don't think that I'm in control and why did this happen to me when I'm so careful, I'm so intelligent, I know what to say and how to respond. When Krishna wants to do something, you won't have a chance, right? So we have to just surrender to Krishna. Okay, Krishna, this is happening. It is your arrangement. I understand. Please guide me. What do I do from here? Simple as that. And also, Krishna protected Maharaj as a baby. He had plans for him and no one could interfere with those plans. He protected him when he was a child. He could have protected him now, but he didn't. But that was not part of the plan. Protecting before it was part of the plan to protect him, because he had to grow up, he had to rule, and then Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam would come about. That, Krishna already had this big plan for Maharaj Parikshit, and this time it's a different plan. So no need to save him. Let's do Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Amazing. So it's Krishna. We don't know Krishna's plans. They're revealed later on. And this should give us some confidence. Yes, Krishna is in control. We are not the controller. Pratirudhendriya pran manobuddhim uparatam sthan triyat param praptam brahma bhutam avikriyam. So pratirudh, restrained, indriya, the sense organs, pran, air of respiration, mana, the mind, buddhim, intelligence, uparatam, inactive, sthan, places, triyat, from the three, param, transcendental, praptam, achieved, brahm bhutam, qualitatively equal with the Supreme Absolute, avikriyam, unaffected. So the Munis' sense organs, breath, mind, and intelligence were all restrained from material activities, and he was situated in a trance apart from the three: wakefulness, dream, and unconscious, having achieved a transcendental position qualitatively equal with the Supreme Absolute. So what does this mean? It appears that the Muni in whose hermitage the king entered was in yogic trance. The transcendental position is attained by three processes, namely the process of Gyan, or theoretical knowledge of transcendence, the process of Yoga, or factual realization of trance by manipulation of physiological and psychological functions of the body, and the most approved process of Bhakti Yoga, or the engagement of senses in the devotional service of the Lord, which that's what we strive for. In the Bhagavad-Gita, also we have the information of the gradual development perception from matter to a living entity. A material mind and body develop from the living entity, the soul, and being influenced by the three qualities of matter, we forget our real identity. The Gyan process theoretically speculates about the reality of the soul, but Bhakti Yoga factually engages the spirit soul in activities. The perception of matter is transcended to still subtler states of the senses. The senses are transcended to the subtler mind, and then to breathing activities, and gradually to intelligence. Beyond the intelligence, the living soul is realized by the mechanical activity of the yoga system, or practice of meditation, restraining the senses, regulating the breathing system, and applying intelligence to rise to the transcendental position. This trance stops all material activities of the body. The king saw the Muni in that position. He also saw the Muni as follows. So he's doing Ashtanga Yoga. He was in a trance right there. So 26. But it's mentioned that so you can see these are very difficult processes. You have to come to that. At Ashtanga 8 stages level is very, very difficult, and there is a lot of austerity involved. We got Bhakti Yoga, and that is the best. That's the highest process anyway. And we're not looking for Paramatma. We're looking for Bhagwan himself. The absolute truth, not the partial truth. And in 27, Viprakirna Jatta Shanam Roravena Jinena Cha Vishushiyat Talur Utkam Tatha Bhutam Ayachat. Viprakirna, all scattered, Jat Achanam, covered with compressed long hair, Roravena, by the skin of a stag, Ajinena, by the skin, Cha, also, Vishu Shyat, dried up, Talhu, palate, Udakam, water, Tatha Bhutam, in that state, Ayachat, asked for. The sage in meditation was covered by the skin of a stag, and long compressed hair was scattered all over him. The king, whose palate was dry from thirst, asked him for water. The king, being thirsty, asked the sage for water. That's such a great devotee, and king asked for water from a sage absorbed in trance, was certainly providential. Normally he would not have disturbed. Seeing a sage in trance, he would not have dared to disturb him. Otherwise, there is no chance of such unique happening. Maharaj Parikshit was thus placed in an awkward position so that gradually Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam could be revealed. I mean, normally he would not disturb because he understands, and they had Pandavas and the progenies, they had a lot of respect for the sages, that they would not dare disturb them. Those saw them at a higher level than themselves, and normally he would not have disturbed them. So you can imagine how thirsty he must have been, and that is by arrangement of the providence. And finally, Alabtrin Bhumi Adir Asamprataragya Sunaratha Avagyantam Ivatmanam Manyamanas Chukopaha. So Alabdha, having not received Trin, seat of straw, Bhumi place, Adihi, and so on, Asamprapt, not properly received, Arghya, water for reception, Sunatha, sweet words, Avagyantam, thus being neglected, if like that, Atmanam, personally, Maniyamanaha, thinking like that, Chukop, became angry in that way. So the king was only thinking about himself. He didn't think, the state of the sage, what he was doing. He was in a trance, like that. And sometimes these things happen, that, we to put ourselves first and not realizing the state of the other person, or, what situation they are in. The king not received any form of welcome by means of being offered a seat, place, water, and sweet addresses, considered himself neglected, and so thinking, he became angry. And normally he would not have done that. He was a very tolerant king. He would not have done that. The law of reception in the course of Vedic principles states that even if an enemy is received at home, he must be received with all respects. He should not be given a chance to understand that he has come into the house of an enemy. When Lord Krishna was accompanied by Arjuna and Bhim, approached Jarasandha in Magad, the respectable enemies were given a royal reception by King Jarasandha. So there you go. Even Jarasandha had that much, intelligence. The guest enemy, namely Bhim, was to fight with Jarasandha, and yet they were given a grand reception. At night, they used to sit down together as friends and guests, and in the day, they used to fight, risking life and death. There was a law of reception. So these are all God's laws, and one is law of reception. The reception law enjoins that a poor man who has nothing to offer his guest should be good enough to offer a straw mat for sitting, a glass of water for drinking, and some sweet words. Therefore, to receive a guest, either friend or foe, there is no expense. It is only a question of good manners. When Maharaj Parikshit entered the door of Shamika Rishi, he did not expect a royal reception by the Rishi, because he knew that saints and rishis are not materially rich men, but he never expected that a seat of straw, a glass of water, and some sweet words would be denied to him. But it was the circumstances. Rishi, he was there, but he was not there either. He was not an ordinary guest, nor was he an enemy of the Rishi, and therefore the court reception by Rishi astonished the king greatly. As a matter of fact, the king was right to get angry with the Rishi when he needed a glass of water very badly. To become angry in such a grave situation was not unnatural for a king, but because the king himself was not less than a great saint himself, right? He's becoming angry and taking action were astonishing. So it must be accepted that it was so ordained by the supreme will of the Lord, because this was uncharacteristics of this king, Maharaj Parikshit. The king was a great devotee of the Lord, and the saint was also good as the king. But by the will of the Lord, the circumstances were so created that there became ways to the king's becoming unattached to family connection and governmental activities, and thus becoming completely surrendered soul onto the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. The merciful Lord sometimes creates such awkward positions for his pure devotees in order to drag them towards himself from the mire of material existence. But outwardly, the situations appear to be frustrating to the devotees. The devotees of the Lord are always under protection of the Lord, and in any condition, frustration or success, The Lord is the supreme guide for the devotees. So outwardly the situation appeared to be frustrating to the devotees. The devotees of the Lord are, but we should remember that we are always under the protection of the Lord. If you are doing a sadhana and you're chanting, then we are always under the protection of the Lord. It's something, we find that is not how we would like to be have been. Then it's Krishna's arrangements, and He has other plans. Frustration of success. The Lord is the supreme guide for the devotees. The pure devotees, therefore, accept all conditions of frustration as blessings from the Lord. This is a point we have to think about. Everything should be seen as a blessing. And that pleases Krishna. This is what we want to do, right? We want to please Krishna, not just by our singing and just by our chanting and cooking nice prasad, bhoga, and eating prasad. We want to please Him. That's our bottom line. But this is another way of pleasing Him, by accepting all conditions of frustration as blessings from the Lord. That would really please Krishna. Other things everybody can do, but this is the most difficult. Accepting all conditions of frustration as blessings. If you can do that, that is the ultimate. So 28. So it says, so note here that at the Mahabharata war, they would fight during the day, but in the evening they would visit each other. So that's like very similar to Jarasandh. So example, Srila Prabhupada said that if a pujari is doing arti and guests come, so in the temple, pujari is doing arti and the guests come, the pujari should stop the arti, receive the guests, make them comfortable, then continue with arti. This is how important it is to receive a guest in the temple. So there's an example of Bhakti Maharaj when doing kirtan, and a European couple came into the temple. This is Bhakti Maharaj. And there was kirtan going on. A European couple came to the temple. He asked one of the devotees to receive the guests. Later on, Maharaj explained that after billions and billions of lifetimes, they are coming into the Father's house. So it's crucial that the servants of the Father, receive them nicely. That should be the position we take, and that should be the mentality we have. That was the Maharaj's perspective of receiving guests. This is what Srila Prabhupada wanted, how to honor and welcome the guests. So this is the law of reception. Wonderful. And so these people, coming into temple for the first time, they have no idea what to expect, but somehow Paramatma in the heart has guided them to a temple, Indian temple. So something special has happened, and we should make it special, welcome them nicely. So now, after all these births, they never took any notice of Krishna or anything like that, and now suddenly they've shown some interest, and then we should fan that interest, fan that spark, and help those people, and that also pleases Krishna. So always try to please Krishna in every way we can. Right, nice. Thank you so much, and please share your thoughts. Pundikaksh Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Anand Pranam, Hare Krishna, all devotees. Again, so many points covered by Srila Prabhupada. The translations are simple, but purport Prabhupada has given so much information. In the very first purport, it is mentioned that Sukadeva Goswami is telling, I am going to share something out of my realization. And generally, realization won't come by ourselves, our own effort, but it will come under the guidance of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. And I was reading this like Asakti is a stage where devotee's heart is cleansed and the Lord's Leela will become almost directly visible within the heart. Even Vyasadeva gave us all these scriptures, even though he is an insult of the God, but he did meditation, and out of that meditation he was telling and given us all the scriptures. So the more you become devotional, the more the realizations will come, and Lord will Lord himself can only make us visible. We cannot see the Lord by our own effort. Lord has to make us see that, and with our devotion, and as you said, Prabhuji, that point is very striking. Accepting all as a mercy of the Lord, as a blessings of the Lord, everything, every situation. So then, when the Lord is pleased, then He will definitely make that visible realization to us, visibility to us, and this situation of Parishit Maharaj is definitely by providence. Otherwise, even that sage is also great. The sage is also, he could not notice Parishit Maharaj because he was in that kind of trance. It's not that easy to get to do the situation also. So this is definitely the creation of the Lord to give us Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam in one way or the other. And devotees always feel protection under the guidance of the Lord. And in Canto 7, it is mentioned that devotees generally do not have enemy, but if somebody becomes enemy also, he need not worry, because it's a worry of Krishna now. If you are really having that kind of devotion for Krishna, Krishna is going to take care of your enemy as well. And he will create all the situations which are favorable for you to continue your devotional service. Um, that's all, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Kin Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everybody. Yes, so much information in a few verses. It started off by you highlighting devotional chanting, our bhakti, and our clapping in tune eradicates and washes away so many previous karmas. And we make these realizations and we talk to each other, we explain or try and explain what we have picked up and learned. But these explanations are limiting because there is not enough words in the English lexicon to describe the power of Krishna's Leelas. Our vocabulary is limited, our dialect is limited, and our language is limited. But Krishna is limitless. And how can you explain and describe something that is limitless? And that's why we are just in so much awe and reverence because we just don't have the words to explain it. And moves on to Parikshit, because we're now coming on to the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam in its explanation. And this is all part of the divine director directing the screenplay. It happens in a forest where this rishi is meditating. Parikshit happens to be in the jungle hunting. Parikshit, who is a very learned king, who can endure anything. Hunger and thirst is no big deal. But it just so happened he was hungry and thirsty on this particular event. Divine intervention. Parikshit was meant to be the conduit or the catalyst for the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. As Arjun was meant to be the catalyst and the conduit for the Bhagavad-Gita. How ironic that he was hungry and thirsty when he entered Rishi Shimak ashram or his hermitage. But he was prepared to fast to the death for 7 days. You couldn't make this up. These contradictions, these anomalies are just mind-boggling. And the way Srila Prabhupada put these together is absolutely amazing. And yes, there is an etiquette when you are in the presence of a yogi, when he's meditating or he's in a trance, you don't disturb him because that's what the etiquette says. However, some rules have to be broken. Even Pujari said, if a guest arrives and there's an arti going on, you can't stop. You can invite those people in because they have been waiting hundreds and hundreds of lifetimes to make the entrance on the threshold of an Indian temple. That may be their journey to divinity. So yes, we have to welcome everybody who comes into our home, no matter who they are. How do you know that the divine may enter your home in the disguise of a double glazing salesman? Who knows? Who knows? He may take away so much of your time, but next thing you know, you're talking about things associated with Shastra, and you hit the sweet spot as the great batsmen do. And hence you find a common ground. King Parikshit, yes, felt neglected. How can you feel neglected? You're the king, you got thousands and thousands of citizens. But this is how the Leela was meant to be portrayed. Yudhishthira was a fabulous, fantastic Raja Rishi. He lost his way as well, as did Parikshit lost his way. You wouldn't think Yudhishthira would have a little flaw for a dice game. But this is how Krishna makes these plays, these screenplays, these leelas come to life. And you could not make it up. This is an amazing journey we're on. And, you know, I'm just left speechless because, as I said at the beginning, there aren't enough words in the English language to describe it. Thankfully, we are in a tradition where we are of a Devanagari, Hindi, and Sanskrit backgrounds, where one Sanskrit word means many, many things, where an English word would not have enough ability to convey. Hare Krishna, I'm just bowled over again.
Thank you, Babaji. Thank you. I mean, I would recommend it is Kali Yuga, so I'm sure all adults here that we discriminate who we let into the house in the Kali Yuga. So there's the principle is there that if a guest does come into the house, then how you receive them, but we have to be careful who we let into the house in the first place, and even if we expecting someone, uh, we check the ID as well before we let them in. So like that, so you have to be intelligent about things. But once we received someone into the house, then then we can definitely follow the law of reception, which we all do anyway. Somebody comes to your house, we ask them to take a seat, we offer them something, offer some sweet words. That goes without saying. So yeah, thank you so
Can
much.
I just qualify? You are right. Yes, you got to be careful about who you let in. And in the profession that I'm involved in, or was involved in, or still am, that there were people masquerading as professionals wanting to examine little children. Yeah, so we have to be so careful of how we expose our families to dodgy people who come knocking on the door. They could be from various political parties as well.
Absolutely. I mean, we have a neighborhood watch group here where I live. I'm sure think you probably have one as well because you're living near me, and there's a lot of dodgy people about, and they make all sorts of excuses trying to come into your house. So you have to be very careful with those people. And it's like very quickly reported into the groups that other people are alerted that be careful. So person is going around doing this and that, and then police is informed. So this is Kali Yuga. So we have to be mindful of who we receive. But once you receive someone and we trust them, then obviously you be nice to them and follow the etiquette. But yeah, be very careful who we receive. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Yes, Hina Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much. To accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Just to, I think the two Prabhus have already covered off the key points. I think for myself, to summarize from these verses, it shows how the Lord is behind everything. And whatever we may be facing, whether it's positive and advantageous to us or it's problematic, everything is sanctioned by Him. So that means it all needs to be accepted and tolerated. And in this Lila, as we're seeing with Maharaj Parikshit and Rishi Samika, we can see the Lord can create any situation or force a situation to happen. Even if we can try our best to try to avoid something from happening. For example, it's in your destiny to suffer a fall or an accident. No matter what you do, it's going to be very difficult to avoid that situation. It's almost like Providence lines up a sequence of events for that thing to happen, and you have no control in terms of trying to avoid it. So all we can do in that situation is just to surrendering to Krishna, to accept everything wholeheartedly that comes our way. He is our ultimate controller and shelter, and does everything. And we know we need to truly believe He does everything for our best interests. So we have nothing to worry about, even though we may not understand what's going on when we're in it and we're in that situation. We've just got to have that wholeheartedly trust Him, and His hand is behind that, and He's doing it for our best fortune and for our best purposes, essentially. That was it. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Motherji. It's all about faith. Faith is very important. And Pundrikash Prabhu just reminding us that Lord Balaram behead Romaharshan for not following the etiquette of not getting up, or rather not following the etiquette of getting up and receiving Krishna. Oh, Balaram actually, he didn't receive Balaram, and so Lord Balaram wasn't happy with that. Thank you, Prabhu. Okay. And Parveen Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Like
in the previous verses, Srila Prabhupada explained how God is Ananta, unlimited, and our limited brains cannot understand the unlimited. So in this verse, it says even the enlightened sages can only describe God according to their understanding up to what they have realized. And we know Lord is the proprietor, controller, protector, and the director. We are just the actors, acting according to the Lord's will and according to our karmas and desires. And we say in this instance, Parikshit Maharaj, his righteous king, and in the previous chapters we've read how he was compared to all the great personalities, Arjuna, Yudhishthira, Brahma, Shiva, even Ram, Shabi, and for him to do this sort of act, putting a dead snake around Shamika Rishi, who was in a trance, and normally not even a normal person would disturb somebody in a trance, but Parikshit Maharaj. So I know Srila Prabhupada hasn't mentioned, but what came to my mind was like Kali, because he asked for a place outside those 4 fallen places, and he was given a place in the gold as well. So because he was on Parikshit Maharaj's head, so is it like he became the instrument, immediate cause, but it was the God's plan. So that's why he was given a place to stay in the gold as well. because it had to happen. So God planned, yes, he will be in the gold, and it will, Parikshit Maharaj's buddhi will go, he will not think straight, and that thing happened. So, but everything happens according to the God's plan. And in the same way, Prabhupada has explained how Arjun, he was not weak, but he, according to God's will, he acted like, my hands are trembling, I can't do this, Krishna, because God wanted him to be the reason to speak Gita. And in this case, Parikshit Maharaj was the cause. Then, he met Sukadeva Goswami and he recited Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam for the, the welfare of the humanity. So very nice verses. And then in the last verse, we read how we have to respect even our enemies. And we can do this, like if we have read Gita, and in the Lord, he says, how we have to treat a Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog eater, a dog, the same. If we see Lord in everyone, then a Krishna conscious person respects everyone, whether it's enemy, not, but like Kiran Prabhu said, yes, we have to be careful who we let in our house. So we have to be careful, but we can still pay outside as well. We can pay respect to everyone and not, see anybody less or, or disrespect anybody. So we can clearly see, God intervenes, all these unexpected circumstances or not favorable circumstances, they come for a good cause to get us closer to the Lord. So all we need is faith in the Lord. And like yesterday, we read the chapter, how Prahlad Maharaj is encouraging devotion service should start from the childhood. So when you're engaged in devotion service, then you understand God's will and what is right, what is wrong. But unfortunately, we come at the ripened stage, but it's better late than never. So it is Lord's mercy. So thank you. And mercy of the devotees like yourself to keep us like on the straight path. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Yeah, Prahlad Maharaj is, his urgency of devotional urgency. So, don't wait for any particular age or time. I'll do it when I finish my education. I'll do it when I get a job. I'll do it after getting married. To Bhakti, he started in the womb. There is no, you can't, it's not something you can put in your diary that I'll do it from then on. You gotta do it right now, straight away. You miss the time behind you, but at least don't miss the time in front of you. So then this is what Prahlad Maharaj is saying, that do it right
So
now.
I've got a question now, Prabhuji. So what can we do? Is it just the chanting? Like if we don't make it in this life and then it happens that we get to learn in our mother's womb, we get to hear about the Lord in our mother's womb. So we can start from the very beginning. So what do we have to do for that if we fail in this life?
Yeah, I mean, Mati, we just do what we're doing.
Yes.
Do our best sincerely. And this low karma is like very mysterious. We don't know. There's no exact formulas for anything. We just go by the formula that Srila Prabhupada has given us, and that is to follow our Nav Bhakti system and instructions of the Guru. So like that, you just follow that. Who knows what's in next life is not in our hands.
Yeah. We just have to hope for the best and not desire even next life and not even think like that.
Yeah, we need to desire to go back home to God.
Yeah.
That's the most important.
And
Desire
serve
is
them.
very important.
Yeah, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Ajay Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
See, with what is mentioned in the verses that Arjun, he was under the influence of Krishna's Yoga Maya, and then he became bewildered for the purpose of Bhagavad-Gita being spoken by the Lord, and us receiving that instruction, us being the people of Kali, in the age of Kali, so we could have guidance. Then likewise, Parikshit, he became bewildered. Therefore, he could receive the glories of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam from Srila Swami. They've both of them, both Arjun and Parikshit, are both formidable kshatriyas of their like that. It's not like the kshatriyas of today that just kshatriyas in name. They actually were proper kshatriyas. They could uphold, they could protect the citizens. They were upheld their duties, and it is again we understand that actually this is not only for our benefit as well, but it glorifies them as well. Because when we think of Arjun, as formidable as Warriors was, we actually think more in terms of him being part of Bhagavad-Gita, him receiving the song of the Lord. Likewise, Parikshit Maharaj, as glorious as he was, he's most famous for receiving Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Therefore, this is actually a benediction from the Lord, not necessarily it's not a curse or mistreatment, as some might think that why did Parikshit, for example, why did he suddenly become thirsty, even though he was a great warrior? Becoming thirsty was out of the question. He could go for extended periods of time. It's not like people of today who get thirsty very quickly, get hungry very quickly. He could go for a long time, no problem. Suddenly, but that's providence of the Lord. He suddenly became thirsty in front of the Rishi for no reason. It became disrespectful, completely out of character in terms of what his usual behavior was. And he realized it as well. And that's when he realized actually that this is the Lord's will. He's put me in this situation because I want to behave this way. And that's what made it easy for him to give up his kingdom and then go to the banks of the Ganges as such, so that he can, banks of the river, that he could then receive the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. It's not, these things don't just happen whimsically. They're there because Krishna is trying to provide his mercy to us. And so we need to understand that when things do happen that are out of our control, that seem strange, there's often a hidden meaning there. We're just not picking it up. The faster we pick it up, the less we have to suffer actually in that sense, because often Krishna has given us the mercy. We just not realizing what the lesson trying to teach us. There's the example of King Anga, for example. He's the father of Vena. So those that remember King Vena, he's a terrible king who just disrespected the Brahmins. But Anga his father was smart enough to realize that the reason he got such a terrible son was so he could detach himself from his kingdom, his family, and then take to spiritual realization. Therefore, we need to always be trying to be aware that whether good or bad, there is some guidance there for us. As long as we're aware of what guidance is, at least try to be, whether we aware straight away, we could ask maybe a senior devotee or, if possible, the guru as well. If there's some things are happening, not quite understanding what's going on, they can help provide guidance in terms of what Krishna is maybe trying to tell you. I mean, in best cases, if Krishna can inspire from within, then you can actually, you actually becomes starting to be more obvious to you what you need to do. Then you are really progressing, because you are aligning yourself with what Krishna wants, Krishna's will. And ultimately, that's what we're all trying to do, really, trying to align ourselves with Krishna's will. And the faster we do that, the better our bhakti will be, and the better we can help others. And yes, and then the bhakti progresses for everyone nicely, and that's what we really want to do. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Radharani.
Hare Krishna, everyone. My pranams to all of you. Yes, one dynasty and two great outcomes. Where else you can read in the history, in the world history, or in any history starting from Satyuga to now, we have Bhagavad-Gita and Bhagavatam coming from the same dynasty. So how glorious they are. It is just remember their names, just to think about them, and to read through Srila Prabhupada about them is so fortunate. And we should be actually thanking Krishna that we have done something good in our last lives, that we have been given this adhikar, this right to sit in such association and nurture ourselves and fulfill our hearts and our souls with these beautiful discussions and these verses, whether it's from any Shastra, from Bhagavatam, Bhagavad-Gita, or the books written by the Acharyas, the Sandarbhas, they're full of this. So we should just, bathe ourselves every time we are given the opportunity, even if it's for 5 minutes, we should make most of it. Like the verse says that the glories of the Lord are like bird in sky. Each bird will touch the sky to its limit, its capacity. So what we are going to do is according to our desires from past, and at the same time, in the present, we are making more desires, what to do in the coming future and in the as we progress in the journey towards back to Godhead. So everything is in our hands. What else we need the proof from? Srila Prabhupada has told us that, look, in the adverse circumstances, these two great personalities, they turned the situation around. So this is what we have to do. Arjun asked for Krishna. Arjun didn't ask for his Sena. Arjun didn't ask for the might. He asked for just Lord. And same with Parikshit Maharaj. Okay, he was meant to do what he did. He fell into that problem of thirst, of the physical limitations, but soon as he understood, he surrendered. He gave everything he had. He renounced everything just with a click of finger. Well, we all have to renounce everything.
One day.
When we are sick, we have to renounce what we want to eat. And similarly, the total renunciation comes when we change our life. The bodies are changed. So everything is in our hands. Krishna is providing. Krishna will provide everything what you want. If you want to get connected to Parampara, it is there. Don't treat it as window shopping. That you do the shopping of window, this guru, that guru. You just get connected through any guru. The more senior you are, the more you have to be determined in your, what you're going to do with the rest of the days. Are you going to have more regrets towards the end of your life, or you are going to turn those regrets around to your favor? This is what these verses are telling us. So why Srila Prabhupada takes the trouble of repeating same things again and again is because he knows that Maya is so strong. Maya is going to engulf our minds, and is going to, envelop our little whatever enthusiasm we create in a say 10-day sadhana can be taken away in 1 second by the Maya, because the desires are so strong. So we have to be very, very focused. This is the urgency of life. This is what these verses telling us. This is why we are here for. Not just to regret, not just to, say that we are limited by this or that. We are not limited by anything. We are just limited by our miserness of our heart for Krishna. We have to get that we have to get above that miserliness and think of what is lying for us after this life. Do we want to come here back again and again and see more of troubles and all kinds of troubles, all the threefold troubles? They're going to be testing humanity more and more as the Kali progresses. So if you want to come back, Krishna is prepared for that as well. Kalki is there. He's going to test us. And we don't want that. And let us pray that Krishna helps us in this journey and gives us right association, gives us right mind, and we can remind our mind again and again through these glorious verses from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and thank Srila Prabhupada again and again, and all the Acharyas right up to Lord Krishna, that they have done wonderful job for our betterment and for the betterment of the generations to come. If they are not going to make it, this is going to be in place again for them to, get hold of the parampara and go back to Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for your input. We'll catch up again Friday. Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Grantha
Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Hare Hare Bo, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.